Okay. Before we get to the Treaty of 1866, let me ask you this. What about when the Civil War came? How did that affect what was going on in the Indian Territory?
Okay, because the five tribes engaged in slavery. From the time that they got here in the early 30s or the mid 30s, they engaged in slavery here in Indian territories. So when the Civil War came in 1861, the tribes, the five tribes, took up arms against the U.S. and fought for the South during the Civil War. They committed treason, basically, and fought for the South, and fought it up until it ended, or until the war ended in 1865.
Okay, so then after the war ended, and now we're talking about the treaty that was signed in 1866. So tell us about that.
Okay, because the 13th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution did not apply to Indian territories because Indian territories were not part of the United States. So when Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, it didn't apply to us. It really didn't apply to the southern states because the southern states had seceded from the U.S. So when he was speaking of the Emancipation Proclamation, he was basically talking to the northern states that he had control over. So when Grover Granger sailed into Galveston Harbor in 1865 to reveal to the Texans that slavery had ended, the Civil War was over, the North had won, that Lincoln had issued the Emancipation Proclamation back in 1863, he was not talking to the slaves of the five civilized tribes here in Indian territories at that time. He was only talking about the slaves in the United States of America.
Okay, so then they got to, I guess, together with the five tribes after this and signed that treaty. What did that treaty say would happen with the freedmen once the Indians and the United States signed this Treaty of 1866?
Well, after slavery ended in the United States of America, the U.S. did not want slavery to be practiced in their backyard. So as a result of that, they got together with the chiefs of each respective tribe and brought them to Fort Smith, Arkansas, and they came to an agreement with the treaties of 1866, and each tribe agreed. They agreed to free their slaves, to make them citizens or give them equal rights, and with rights comes citizenship, or citizenship is synonymous to rights and benefits. And they had 2 years to do it. And the U.S. gave each tribe $300,000 to do it. Then they had to do it within a period of 2 years. Well, the Cherokee and the Creeks did it right away, and the Seminoles, they did it right away. The Choctaws didn't do it until 1885. They stalled and stalled and stalled, and they finally adopted their freedmen, who were descendants of slaves. They did it in 1885. The Chickasaw Nation never did adopt. They continued and drug it out and fought it up until Oklahoma statehood.
Okay, so what we're talking about with this treaty is then giving the freedmen and their descendants the rights, whatever rights that will be afforded to those five tribes by the United States. By this treaty, we feel should then be passed down to the descendants of the freedmen.
Yes, because citizenship is an inherited state of being. Once you get citizenship, your citizenship is passed down from kid to kid to kid. It's an inherited state of being. So if my great-great-grandmother was a citizen if she was a citizen of the Chickasaw Nation, for an example, in 1866, I should be a citizen of the Chickasaw Nation today. It's that way, it's reflected that way with the white Indians on the white side, because in essence, with our federal tax dollars, we are supporting the descendants of our former slave masters, and their citizenship has been inherited from their slave masters.